With the threat of a potential US strike on Iran looming, the United States Embassy in Jerusalem has taken a dramatic step, telling its staff they may leave Israel immediately. In an urgent email sent Friday, US Ambassador Mike Huckabee instructed embassy personnel that those wishing to depart should do so today. The message, according to the New York Times, followed overnight meetings and high-level calls with the State Department in Washington. While the email made no explicit mention of Iran, the timing is impossible to ignore. Huckabee described the move as an abundance of caution, stressing that the safety of American personnel is the top priority. The embassy has now shifted to what is known as an authorized departure status, a formal designation that allows non-essential staff and their families to evacuate at government expense when national interests or imminent threats to life require it. The directive was clear: secure a seat out of Ben Gurion Airport as quickly as possible. Huckabee wrote, "Focus on getting a seat to any place," emphasizing speed over destination. The goal is simple: get out first, figure out the rest later. He warned demand for flights could surge immediately, and there are already signs of strain. Dutch airline KLM has suspended service to Israel, citing operational considerations. Other carriers could follow if tensions escalate. The move comes after the third round of high-stakes nuclear talks between Washington and Tehran in Geneva ended without a breakthrough, but also without a collapse. Iranian officials and Omani mediators say negotiations will continue next week in an attempt to avert war.
I can confidently state that over these past several long and very intensive hours, we have made substantial progress and have very seriously delved into the fundamental elements of an agreement encompassing both the nuclear domain and the critical area of sanctions. It was our decision that the technical teams, POS, are starting Monday. POS in Vienna. POS would commence the technical assessment work, POS, at the International Atomic Energy Agency. It was decided that very soon, perhaps in less than or about a week, the next round of negotiations will be held.
Behind the scenes, US officials acknowledge President Trump is weighing options, from targeted strikes on Iranian military and nuclear facilities to broader military action if diplomacy fails. Some proposals reportedly include applying overwhelming pressure to extract major concessions. Others go further, raising the specter of regime change. Israel, a close US ally, would almost certainly be a target for Iranian retaliation in the event of an American strike. That reality adds urgency to the embassy's decision. The State Department has also issued a travel advisory urging Americans to reconsider travel to Israel and the West Bank, citing terrorism and civil unrest. Similar precautionary evacuations are underway in Lebanon. Australia has begun relocating diplomatic dependents across the region.
Today is the third round of negotiations between Iran and the US since the 12-day war. And the Iranians came with a draft proposal which has a lot of technical details. It does appear that it was attractive enough for the US team to decide that they're going to go attend the Ukraine negotiations and then come back to continue these talks with the Iranians. I think if the US team had walked away immediately upon seeing the details of the Iranian proposal, that would have been a breakdown in the talks. There might still not be a breakthrough at the end of this day, but the very fact that the US team is returning shows that there is enough common ground between the two sides. I think what has sharpened the minds on both sides is the unattractiveness of the alternative, which is war. And it is true that if today, which is a very decisive day, does not end in at least enough common ground for some sort of an outline of a deal or a framework, then the risk of war would really go up even as early as this weekend. So this is why it is important that the US is coming back to the table and trying to get to the finish line. The reality is that there is a narrow pathway to a deal, but it does require both sides to soften their red lines. It does require for President Trump to understand the kind of capitulation that he was hoping the extreme military, economic, diplomatic pressure on Iran would produce is just simply not on the cards. And if there is a solution in which the Iranians can save face, yes, there is an exit ramp available for both sides. I think the margin for maneuver for both sides is so much more limited because in the past, if the talks fail, they would resume in 3 months, they would resume in 4 months. Now, if the talks fail, there is a real risk of a conflict with unpredictable, potentially disastrous consequences for both sides that could happen in a matter of days. And so the stakes are higher, but there is, again, a narrow pathway forward if both sides are willing to demonstrate enough flexibility.
Times of India videos, your daily dose of India and the world. Global news, different views, and sharp analysis.
Pressure of expectation from your fans, your supporters.
That has often served as a backdrop for several Bollywood.
You're not a brute majority anymore. If you individually take out play, right?
Making sense of global conflicts. Tracking the new emerging world order.
Strike on Israeli military bases.
A multi-pronged.
To stay out of harm's way as Israel started bombing targets across.
Understanding changing alliances in a polarized world. Tune into TOI videos for all this and more. Click on the bell icon to subscribe and never miss an update.